It is 12:09. Welcome to Central Valley Talk Live on this Thursday, February the 10th. I'm Austin Reed, coming to you from our Tower District studios inside the Mike Briggs building. We thank you for joining us, and we are going to talk all about a school candidate that's running in the Tower District. And joining us live today is Russ Allen. Hello there. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Austin. Thank you, Mike, for having me here today. Much appreciated. Yes, Fresno High lost their school board member, Carol Mills, last year, and she left a huge void. And so there are a few of us who are feeling called to possibly fill that void. I hope we're all doing it for the right reasons. I know I'm doing it for the kids and the parents because I feel that continuation especially needs special looking out for, and that was something that Carol Mills did. As a teacher at DeWolf High School, I felt very supported by Carol, and I would like to see the teachers in that realm feel that support once again. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your experience with education.
Well, I started as a substitute teacher in 1990 in Kerman Unified School District. Fresno, I started with a few months later in June of 1990, and I worked as a substitute teacher until I could get far enough along to in a teaching credentialing program. I went through National University. I did my student teaching in elementary at Vinland Elementary School here in town, and I ended up being told about the need of men in elementary, but they failed to tell me I was kind of the wrong color man.
Oh, okay.
And that they had issues at the time that they were trying to reflect more ethnicity in the classroom than the all-white presence they felt they had. So in 1991, I had my full teaching credential, and Fresno Unified laid off 60 teachers.
Wow.
And so there were no jobs in the valley, period. And so, you know, it kind of was hard. I missed out on my Apple program for student loans because I couldn't get a job for about 4 years. Finally, Bullard High, a gentleman by the name of Rick McClyman, told me that if I could stay with this class, they had a very rough class. Coach Scott Scambray had been promoted to administration, and they had no less than 30 substitutes in about 20 days. And people saying they'd never return again. His classes were so rough. And so Mr. McClyman promised me that if I could stick it out until June, I would have a contract the following year. I had done myself the disservice of earning a master's degree. And to anybody that thinks about getting the master's degree before you've got the teaching position, don't do it. That was part of my problem. I was overqualified, I was told by people like Tim Richardson of Central Unified shared that with me kind of off to the side, that I was overqualified, that they can't afford to pay for that extra master's degree. Why are they going to pay $3,000 for me instead of somebody else? What am I really bringing to the table? Well, I proved that at Bullard High. And so when Mr. McClyman finished at the end of that year, Mr. McDonald came in to take over as the principal, Stan McDonald, and he asked McClyman, why do I want this guy Russ Allen? And McClyman told him straight up, you don't want Russ Allen, you need Russ Allen. He not only handled those classes, they learned far more than we expected any of them to learn. I produced graduates for them because they passed their basic skill math tests that they would not have graduated without. When Mr. McClyman saw my worth, he impressed it upon Mr. McDonald, who kind of went ahead and kept me on and gave me the contract that Mr. McClyman had promised. And after 2 years, he kind of felt like my credential wasn't quite enough for the high school level. I was limited at algebra and their basic math classes. He needed a full math department teacher that could teach the calculus series, but he didn't tell me that. You know, he kind of hum-hawed and beat around the bush and you know, told a batch of different people different things, and it turned into a really ugly situation. He ended up losing the principalship at Bullard and was demoted to Hoover, if you can consider that a demotion. And I was blackballed for having written about the situation. And Fresno Unified tried to flick me like a flea from the dog's back. And thank goodness for Jim Schlotz at the FTA. He informed Fresno Unified that they had violated my rights and that they had placed 100 elementary teachers and just left me like, nope, no job for you. And so Mr. Schlotz, he contacted me the night before the school year was to start and said, you have a job at Scandinavian Middle School. Get over there. And so they had me teaching science that year, and I was working on an emergency credential. I already had a credential to teach algebra there, but no, they made me jump through hoops. They gave me a classroom that was filled to the ceiling with various science junk, and I had to have it cleaned up and ready for school the following Monday morning. And so, yeah, my welcome to education has been an interesting one.
Right. Huh?
And I've always been one to fend for the students.
Tell me a little bit about, you know, we're in 2022. Fresno Unified obviously is massive.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that, if you get voted in, that you want to either change or work on?
I want to see better use of the funds, to be honest. I kind of feel like too often monies get put into categoricals where, oh, we have to spend the money or we lose it. I think we need to make better, more efficient use of our resources. And I would like to see you know, they've done a great job at getting more and more resources, but what are they really doing with them? Are we just throwing money at problems, or do we really have a plan that we're going to use that money effectively, efficiently for the benefit of school children? How is this good for kids? Why are we doing it if it's not? And we do need to do a self-analysis of what are we doing that works? Mm-hmm. What are we doing that we just do it because we like doing it? Because, you know, as a teacher, I could say it was easy to fall into a routine that was easy for me. Would it really meet the needs of the kids, or did I have to be more aware of what their needs were? There is no one panacea that will fix every problem. So, but we do need to look individually at every problem with a higher level of effectiveness and efficiency. I think after my best years and my best lessons, I can still think of things I could have done better and maybe even improved it a little more. And then when you try it the next year, it's a good thing you were ready to try something new, because you have a whole new batch of personalities that everything that worked great with your class last year It's not going to work with the kids next year. We have this tendency to think that if I just get to here, we're going to have it made. And that's not true. And that would really be boring if we did have it just made. It is an ongoing daily struggle. Teaching really is, and that's what a lot of people do not realize, is that teachers have to have a plan, they have to have a backup plan, and they have to have, what are they going to do if both of those aren't going to work flawlessly, so that the children aren't affected by it. It's not an easy job that teachers are asked to do. People want to downplay it as, oh, they're just overpaid babysitters. Well, if that is the case, then we can't expect any learning. And because babysitters are not responsible for learning, and teachers most definitely are. We are held to standards. If our kids aren't making the progress, we were taken to task. We were offered help that maybe didn't seem like help. You kind of felt like you were being under attack and having to prove yourself more than actually being given actual suggestions that could remedy. And, there's a lot of good going on in Fresno High, and I don't want to sound like I'm bashing them. They do amazing things. Really, they do, with what they have. But I still contend, no matter how well they've done, through analysis of efficiency and effectiveness, we can always do better. And we should always have that mindset, that growth mindset that says, no matter how good I did last year, I want to see how much better I can do next year. And if we constantly embrace that challenge, we amaze ourselves at what we accomplish. And I've had so many kids over the course of my career just be amazed at what I was willing to do for them. I believe in ask and you shall receive. To the best of my ability, I tried to deliver that to my students. I mean, I wasn't just easily conned. I did sometimes when I suspected I was just being conned. I'd assert a little humor to the situation. You have to be careful of that these days, because humor seems to be something that everybody wants to be offended. And it's kind of a frightening arena to enter, knowing that you're really kind of any misgiven sentence on any one day, you're absolute sue bait, if not possibly even arrested. What other jobs have that hanging over you constantly? One misspoken sentence can end your career.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And
so if you were to get elected, going back to what you were talking about as far as Carol goes,
yeah.
do you want to continue the work that she did? Do you see that vision?
I believe I do. She really was the biggest bastion for the continuation students. What you have to realize is that our education at what they call the mainstream high schools, Fresno High, McLean, Hoover, Bullard, Sunnyside, Roosevelt, these are the mainstream schools. When kids are not surviving in the mainstream, they end up going into continuation. And so the problem is we give a diploma that says Fresno Unified. It doesn't say that it was Fresno Unified from Bullard. Doesn't say Fresno. The transcript will show the grades from the different schools, but the diploma in and of itself, high school diploma, Fresno Unified. And that's as good as it is bad if you want to compare your super A students going for, the highest honors, and then you want to compare that to students that are barely squeaking by with D's. It's all the same diploma. And employers really do have to start to look at this concept of transcripts and how did the kid actually do? Continuation has saved a lot of kids, and they're struggling right now with this, that in continuation you have to earn at least a C or better. Well, they can graduate from the mainstream schools with a D. Embarrassedly enough, I have a son that kind of fell victim to peer pressure. And he let it get to him to where if he played sports, oh, you're a jock, you're a prep, and it bothered him. And so he kind of avoided it. And if he got a grade over a D, oh, you're a schoolboy, going for the good grades. And so he was embarrassed to have smart grades. And that's a really strange peer pressure. And he did a masterful job of making sure he graduated with a D average, just so he wouldn't be given grief from his peers. And how can we break a peer system that demonizes learning?
Right.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, we've got about a minute left.
Okay.
Anything else you wanted to let everybody know about the campaign up until today?
Well,
and then moving forward?
In moving forward, one question that people have is, why do I still have my Warrior that I graduated with in 1975 on my sign when obviously we have moved on? We have the generic school and the big F. So now we're the Fresno High Fs? Really? Under WTF, they didn't think this out very well, did they? And I would be one to say we want our Warrior back unless you can be given a good, really actual reason to the community other than we're afraid cancel culture may sue us. I'm sorry, fair should never be the district's motivation. They should stand firm to what is right, and they should stand up for the sake of our community. What is right, and not just bowl over to the latest whim that some politician is screaming about. Sorry.
When is the election?
April 12th.
April 12th. You've got a brand new website that's set to launch.
Yes,
okay,
rucya.org.
RUCY.
RU for Russ, CY. My wife is Lucy. We put it together, RUCY. It's kind of like Ricky Ricardo going, Lucy.
back to
and
the 50s
A
and
for
60s.
Alan.
Yeah.
But then I was working with an accountant right after that, and it just made perfect sense. Are you covering your assets?
Oh, I like that. There you go.
And so, are you covering your assets? Are you leaving yourself exposed financially? And so it's an accounting term that we kind of stumbled into, and I've used it for a long time as who I am. And so rucya.org should be up and running Monday at the very latest, but hopefully it'll be up and running tonight.
Real quick, Super Bowl is Sunday. Who do you have?
Tigers. It's the year of the tiger, baby.
Okay.
And, you put a tiger and a lamb together, what do you expect to happen?
And we'll leave it on that. Have a great one. Come back before April, okay? We'll do another one of these.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
And thank you so much.
I'm Austin Reed. Thanks for joining us here at Central Valley Talk, where we celebrate what's great about Fresno. We'll be back with more guests soon. Stick around.